Thanks for staying with us. Now, a story broke out yesterday about the fact that the ASP who killed the lawyer in Lagos has been convicted and sentenced to death. Lagos State High Court sitting at the Tafawa Balewa Square on Monday convicted and sentenced the suspended assistant superintendent of the police, Drambi Vandi, who killed Lagos lawyer Bolanle Raheem to death by hanging. Justice Ibironke Harrison sentenced him after finding him guilty of the murder of the pregnant lawyer. The judge held that the convict should be hung by the neck until he dies. Vandi, attached to the Ajiwe police station in Ajah, shot Raheem while she was returning home from an outing with her family back on December 25th, 2022. The NBA has expressed excitement over the verdict, and many Nigerians have also responded. Some have, however, with their distrust for the government, say that let us see the sentences public. Let it be a public sentencing. But we don't know how that's going to happen. But prosecution, the execution. Thank you very much. The execution should be made public. But either way, what are your own general thoughts on the sentencing, the quickness of it, and do you think it should give closure to the family? What are your general thoughts? You can call us on 081-076-41679, 0902-4163440. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read the tweets. More importantly, what do you think this communicates to the police force? Because we've had so many cases where police seem to be, many people feel that police get away with these kind of crimes, where you kill somebody and they tell you, oh, they dismiss and that's it. But now this case was done really quickly, and we've seen a sentence. What are your own? Let me start with you, Nyma. Your thoughts on this verdict? Okay,
so because this was justice we waited for, I felt excited. I felt yes, the justice system has also proven itself. We had this happen last year. The judgment is out, and we're not even at the end of the year. We still have some cases outstanding in court forever, but this one. So and I'm also. Why it was suicide for me is because, is it because, it was a public outcry at the time that the governor immediately had to respond to, people were writing. Bolanle Raheem was somebody that a lot of, not just celebrities, a lot of civil society groups and all of that stood up against this killing. The way she was murdered, the way her husband had to witness it, the fact that she was a pregnant woman who had a waiting time and all of that. Is it because of that we had this quickly? Because we still have a lot of other cases outstanding, like this that would...
It was a high-profile case.
Yes, it was a high-profile. But this was definitely the outcome we all looked forward to, including myself. Just the speed with which it was heard, the way, justice delayed is denied. The way it was speedily heard was, for me, it's at A. I just wish that the standard was the same across board.
Okay.
And I hope that this gives closure.
I think that the standard will still get there, times are changing. People are beginning to know their rights. People are beginning to call out what is not working properly. And with time, with every government who is deliberate about making sure that things work, we see that some of these things will be fine-tuned, gradually till we get there. I see a lot of civilized countries and how we praise them and hail them. And I read their history and I realize that as they were just building that democracy and growing, they had a lot of things not working. Their people kept dying, their people kept crying out, the law is not working for us, the law is for a few people, till they got to where they are. So it's just us being patient. We need to keep calling out till we see the changes, but then understand that we will still grow into that. So this is a very fantastic judgment as far as I'm concerned. It would give the family a bit of a closure. There's nothing that would bring back the woman that is dead, but the fact that, the government is for us. The government worked for us. The government is there to preserve and keep us and uphold the law. This also shows that nobody is above the law, right? We are equal in the face of the law, and that is what gives trust to Nigerians. So I like this judgment. However, why I believe a lot of people are calling to see the hanging, so that, the execution, so it doesn't look like this was just announced to appease the people and then something happens behind. We need to also be seen to be doing things right.
Why do Nigerians understand so gruesome? I don't know. Well, let me come to you. What are your thoughts on this?
Okay, I just wanted to answer that because, I guess my sentiments are just same as yours, which is I'm happy that we have a judgment like this. You know, someone committed a crime, we saw it through the courts, and someone has been sentenced, you know. And, you know, for the execution part of it, yes, you're right, it may seem so gruesome. In fact, for me, you know, just even the thought that this would be happening is already making me feel sick. But it is justice that has to be carried out. And it's not just a Nigerian thing, actually. People sit down to watch things like that. People who have been affected somewhat. Just make sure, you know, you've taken a life, you've destroyed my family. I need to make sure that the person that did it is gone and is gone for good. Some people, it's a way that they find closure. And then you also mentioned the fact that we have this mistrust, really, about how government carries out whatever they would say, you know. So it's just this way to substantiate it, you know, our way of saying, okay, we see that it was finally done.
So do you think the family should be allowed to witness it, but not public? You know how they did in Lekki, where they shot people who died? I don't want that.
Those who are
concerned,
closely associated with that, you know, with that tragic event, you know, if they would like to, they should be allowed to. But to make, I don't like that, you're right, I don't like that public display of...
I think why they're calling for a public execution is to deter the police. What we have seen is that we get the death sentencing every time. Judges sit in court and they apply the law. And so you get death sentences when somebody outrightly, you know, premeditatedly just murders someone in broad daylight. Of course, you get death sentencing, but they go and leave them, and the governors refuse to sign the execution order. We have had several governors over and over, and people have called out governors saying, across states, why do we have overwhelmed prison system? Why are we feeding people on death sentence? People who have exhausted their appeals, you have done your 90 days, you've gone on to appeal court, Supreme Court has said the person must be hung, and everything are finished. What else? Why are we feeding them? Why are they sitting?
And I said that we've asked that question before, that many of our governors have not given their life to Christ. Nobody wants to be the one.
And then when the person gets to prison, of course, it changes, it becomes remorseful. It doesn't really pay for the crime.
Exactly.
Just sits in prison, we cannot kukuma kill him, we'll feed him.
Exactly. So it's part of the sentiments we are trying. Let me take this call from Stanley. Good morning, Stanley. Thanks for calling from Festac.
Good morning, Madam Moraya and team. Good morning.
Good morning.
Please, I want to comment on the issue of this judgment for the claim of Barrister Bolanle by the SP at Ajiwe police station.
Yes.
In fact, I have to comment that judgment. It's one of the most recent laudable judgments. Unlike before, when things like that happen, after a while, we don't hear about it again. It's also a very big lesson to most of the police officers who are not maintaining the ethics of the profession. People carry gun about, harass people, drink away their lives, and do police work as if police work is something you just wake up and go under the mango tree and begin to practice whatever you want. It's a very big lesson. Let it be public. Let people see the way it's done. Let us be sure that actually the person involved is executed. That's my contribution.
Thank you very much. But you see, let's go back to why you think the governors find it difficult to implement these executions, because they are the only ones that can actually pardon. So they refuse to pardon, and they also refuse to execute. How do we, I don't want to say decongest our prisons to execute, but the truth is that there are cases like that, as Nyma said, that there are people waiting execution. And that indeed by itself is clogging up the system, clogging up the prisons. So who can push this? Is it the Minister of Interior, or is it the governors? Who's going to...
When is the federal issues, or usually from the executive that the signing happens, and in the states, governors must sign. In every state where those state high courts have issued those sentences. So why are they refusing to act? So you see some governors come and everybody just becomes religious and says, my conscience, you pass your own. So somebody is awaiting an execution for 10 years. Of course, he would have witnessed 2 terms. So what exactly will happen? In that 10 years, he did not die of hunger. Of course, he's being fed. And there's a lot of allocation. It's expenses. In the budget, it's huge. Somebody made a joke recently, and Ellen Paul shared it. I just went there and said, stop playing. Because she just said, he said, to rent a house is expensive, to be in the hospital is expensive, but in prison it's free. You know, I leave it to your choice. But in that joke, there was sense. In prison, you've committed the crime, you are safely kept.
Get the food free.
You are fed, you're trained, because there's a rehabilitation as well, the corrective system now. Some of these things, when it is clear, completely clear that this person committed the crime, either he confessed to it or it was established at the court and sentenced him, he has exhausted his appeals. I always want that part added.
Yeah.
Let him finish his appeals in case there's any chance at all.
So does it bring us to the question of how do we get a nation? How do we really build an equitable nation where I know that I can get justice? What is justice? If all of us are being so sentimental and emotional about this kind of thing, like, you know, I don't want anybody's death to be on my conscience. How do we, the countries we try to emulate, they are able to execute and still be able to clean up some of the bad guys. But here, we just try to have this conscience. Do you think...
Is it really that the governors are saying, oh, on my conscience? Do you think that maybe in their own judgment, I just don't want to believe that the governor is sitting there and saying, I just don't want this death on my hands, you know? I'm wondering if, you know, they are going through the paper. You know, there are some sentences that, even though the courts have done it, somehow, you know, you believe or
respect for the system.
I understand that. But, you know, there's this belief, even like maybe the whole nation will be like, but we don't see it. Even though the court says that this person should be sentenced to death. Because that's how many people I know get pardoned. Because there is, either you've shown remorse over the years, or either there's just something that just doesn't seem to add up to this person. I just don't want to believe that someone is sitting there and thinking, I don't want death on my hands. So because you know that is a job that you are meant to do. And you
there's a committee within the governor's office that reviews those for pardon. They do their job. Yeah. You see that regularly. So even President Jonathan, just towards election, just pardon.
Worry to pardon.
In fact, the one that Buhari pardon, shocker, cash us.
Yes, now.
You know, that committee does its job.
We know some political pardons.
I'm saying if political pardons are possible, who then reviews those on execution? Why does that committee not work? Or why do the governors not just do that? You cannot just have this is a whole waiting list of people that you have to see and conclude what is going to happen. If you can see someone say, this one has to go, this one, pardon. When it's an outright murder, let's take Bolanle's case in question now. This was, I just look at somebody, I just pow, gone in front of, just like that.
No, we haven't.
And then, and the court, the prosecution did a good job. They established the case. There was a conviction.
Let me take this call.
What are you going to do? You did not pardon, you did not execute.
Good morning, Eniola from Ogba. You've been holding for a while. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Morayo.
Good morning, Eniola.
Good morning.
I really appreciate your program. I watch and your audience viewer. On this case of this police officer, there are so many lives being taken that there is no judgment. In my area in Ogba, 2012, January, everybody can remember, a guy was killed. Today, the officer is walking around. We are told that it was dismissed, but it's a lie. So many lies. If we keep counting, we can count millions. So let the execution be public so that we know the person that is being owned.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eniola. Come to you.
Yes, so I think it's a matter of conscience because I had a conversation with one of the tour guides when I was in Singapore, and we're talking about how the country had developed to where it was, the way, you know, they take us around, show us places and give us the history. And then we got to the subject of executing people who commit crime. They are known for that. They don't waste time. In fact, if you carry drug as little as this, you are done. They are killing you off, you know. And it was something that the leader had to insist on because they wanted to clean out the system, right? So that they put that fear. You know that if they catch you, that's the end. And it started affecting the judges. Somehow they were not optimistic about signing the deaths, because somehow they will feel, but this is just drug. But they had to do their job. And so a lot of them were shying away. So when it's like your time to get that position, some of them would want to shy away from it because it was a matter of their conscience. They weren't so comfortable. So it could also be that, see, to take a life is not, except for people who are on drugs, people who have a problem, people who are whole human beings, to take a life is heavy. So you may not want to be the one, because at the end of the day, people are looking at their karma. They will be thinking,
and it's those same people.
If it piles up for me, that I was just the one signing. But for you to be a governor to take that position, it's also part of the law.
And some of
to
these,
do what needs to be done.
Some of these people travel to Dubai, they travel to America, where they execute, and you are enjoying the country, the safety,
benefits,
the fact that they've executed a murderer the other day. Let me take this call from Prophet Lugbenga. Good morning, Prophet. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, good morning.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
God bless you.
Good morning, sir.
This first-time caller.
Welcome
God
to the
bless
show.
You. Yeah, thank you. All of you, you are real there. God will continue to bless you in Jesus' name.
Yeah.
Amen.
Now, concerning the issue of this particular judgment, it is very, very good. But my problem is that Nigerian governors, why are they not signing the death warrant? This is bad.
Really?
Governors will know that this person has done something wrong. Why are you afraid to sign the death warrant? It's bad. It's bad. Let governors know that they need to sign. You know, these people that are wasting people's lives anyhow. Please. God bless you.
Thank you very much.
So I want to respond quickly. You know, initially I said that, you know, justice delayed is denied. We like the speedy, and it could have been because of the outcry at the time of the murder. We don't need an outcry for the system to work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When we have to do what is happening with Mobad, we had to do that for Bolanle Raheem. How many people will we outcry for? The system must work. The police must investigate a crime the way it should. When we get to the death sentence, it is a system. If you are the one to sign a death warrant, sign it. Because there are hangmen who carry out it is not you who is carrying it out. So if you say you have psychological problem, what of the judge that issued it? What of you that has to sign them? What will you think will be the mind of the hangmen who carry out this business of hanging? We used to have a firing squad those days. What did you think was the mindset?
You know, thank you for even bringing me that,
Nyma.
I have an aunt who, one of the reasons why she never ever liked the former President Buhari, she didn't even care what he was doing, was actually said as a young person, she remembered vividly how 3 boys were executed at Burbage many years ago, I think it's in the 80s or early, late 70s, where I think it was drugs or something that I think it was the 70s. At the time, young, handsome boys, she said, 3 boys, and they kept pleading with him for a second chance. Like, these boys, they're just young kids. And those boys were executed in Burbage. And because she was, I'm not sure she was there or she watched it on TV, said that graphic vision, like the vivid memory, never allowed her to even understand. When she saw Buhari back, it's like, this man that killed those boys, you know? So the emotion...
Did boys kill somebody?
No, I think it was drugs. It was drugs. It was the law then. It was an execution.
She's making a point.
So the point I'm trying to make is that sometimes we have to take hard decisions, even if it is difficult. As a leader, these are decisions because that's the only way you can sanitize your society. But if we keep having this sentimental attachment to these things, it's not going to happen.
But it's the society now that is now backlashing somebody
Yeah,
who has
so
to follow
that's
the law to sign an execution.
So that's the point. I think, you know, this whole conversation is about so we now have someone who did the right thing, but Nigerians, because we picked a story from where we picked it up from. We did not pick it from when they committed the crime and why they were, you know, we've just picked it up from the end and think the person who did the right thing by making sure it was done is a bad person. So she's saying that maybe that's why we have governors today who do not want to, you know, sign the death warrant. I did not realize that we had like a huge number. I don't know if you know this, but is there like a higher percentage of those who are on death sentence that have their death warrants haven't been signed just because the governor
we've not seen an execution
in a long time.
We don't have a record of it in forever years.
How many death sentences do we?
You know, some countries have moratorium on the death sentencing. We don't have. Some countries are completely banned it as a way of consequence of any crime. So, but we don't have that. We have it as a consequence of crime, but then we don't carry it out. So is it that we don't want it, or do we think we need to waive it, or waive even the signing? So once the judgment is given, let the hangman do his job. Why do we need somebody to then sign the death warrant?
I think we've said a bit on this judgment issue. Let's talk about even the relationship between the police and the people. If this entire episode can bring up that conversation again, how do we ensure protection? These are police supposed to be protecting us. how do we protect ourselves sometimes from this, from the police in this kind of situation? This young girl was by herself at night. No, she wasn't. She was in the car with her family and mixing up with the young girl on the bus. Remember, there was another girl who was on the bus who was allegedly killed by the, I think, was it the bus driver or the that was a different situation.
That's one is still in court.
That one is still in court. So that was also got a bit of media attention, but we're yet to get to a conviction. It's older than Bolanle. So the issue is that how do we talk to the police, how they treat the citizens? How do we engage the police where it doesn't get physical, where we start doing exchanging words with the police? How do I show respect and how do they show respect to me? How do we respect each other as police and civilians?
Oh, I think we need to...
Okay,
there's something you want
go ahead. No, go ahead.
So there's something my father-in-law used to say. He says, you don't tell a man who is upset and carrying cutlass that he cannot cut you. That means that no matter what the situation is, you must present yourself in a respectable way. We have to respect the police. We do not have enough of them, right? Over 200 million people, we just have about 500 and something thousand police that are meant to be protecting us. We need to show some respect. I feel terrible when, the police stops some people, whether they are criminals or not, to ask for certain things, and then they are giving their chest, they are feeling, why are you stopping me? Why are you? I feel bad about it. I feel like you won't go to America and do that to the police. You respect the uniform. So let's start from there. Because we are all citizens of the country. Let's give them the respect that they deserve. And for those ones that are doing anyhow, their bosses need to call them to order. This judgment now will show that nobody can get away with nonsense. If you kill, you will be killed. If you are caught and judgment goes that you actually committed this crime, you will be killed. So as you see that citizen, that civilian, you don't look down on the civilian. You are there to work. You are working for the civilian. You are working to protect the civilian. So when we do our own part and we expect our own part and we expect them to do their own part, we hold each other accountable. Absolutely. So it's not just the police are this. Yeah. Sometimes we have infuriated those people to become that way. Yeah. So we need to solve our issues while we preach to their leaders to help them, especially those ones on the streets. Yeah. Sometimes the kind of people they churn out on the streets, I don't think they're well trained. We've talked about it numerous times here. We've talked about it countlessly. I don't think they know what is expected of them. And so they need to constantly screen the people that they send out on the streets. Absolutely. Because now everybody is going to be holding each other accountable. If you mess up as a civilian, you can go in for it. If the police messes up, you can go in for it.
Let me just quickly take this if I come to you, Mariam. Waike just reminded me why my auntie was really upset. She said, Mariam, the reason your aunt was upset is because the law was backdated. The boys committed the crime before the law was promulgated. So that's what happened. And that's why it was, and I recall, was actually a very, very graphic situation because they were shocked that the president was really, the military head at the time was willing to backdate that date just to be able to
use them as scapegoats,
yes,
right?
Scapegoat, just to serve as a deterrent.
Okay, I was just saying that, like, how you said, how do we speak to the police or how do we speak to Nigerians so that, we don't have situations like this on our hands?
Mutual respect.
Yes, mutual respect. But I feel that when a party feels that they're not being, like there's been an injustice committed against them, you find that behavior of almost rudeness against the system. So we always know that when the police catch a criminal, he's locked up in jail, in fact, sometimes tortured. But what happens when the police commits a crime or when there's malpractice or negligence? What happens, to the police officer? We have heard many times where victims will tell that the police officer will tell that we shoot you here and nobody will say anything. Nothing will happen. And it's the truth. So you now find citizens who already feel this anger, that sense of injustice, this such injustice towards me, my dignity as a person. So if a criminal, a citizen, is able to see to the end, we're able to see to the end of his, behavior, prosecution, lockup, we should also see that the police officer gets to that point. Now it sends a message to both parties. To the citizen, he now learns to respect the law. He understands that the law justice would be carried out no matter what. And in fact, when it's now in his own case, because he knows that it is no respecter of persons, it's easier for him to also accept that this was given to me because I committed it. Then the other thing would be on the side of our police officers is that they will be more careful.
Yeah.
Because you understand that I'm going out to do my job, but there are some things I must be careful not to do. I'm a doctor, there are some things too I should not do. If I'm called for malpractice or negligence, I would face the consequences. So as long as people are allowed to face the consequences and no one feels that they have been unduly, you know, there's no, you know what I mean.
Let me take this call. When you hold it for us, Rotimi, I believe. Thanks for calling. Sorry for keeping you.
Good morning, Mariah. Good morning, the lady.
Good morning.
I appreciate the topic this morning. Thank you very much. Please, I want to say this to the governors. The governors are just hypocrites. I will tell you this. The governors are just hypocrites. There have been many political killings in Nigeria. Politicians are the most deadly people. They can kill any of the opposition. My uncle was killed, the CSO of Agavu, in 2007. A chief security officer of the governor was killed by politicians. Funsho William was killed in 2006 in Lagos by politicians. Till today, these people, there are so many other political killings that have gone across Nigeria. Till this moment, they have failed to get the killers. Who are the killers? It is actually the politicians. To sign someone who was sentenced locally by a competent court in Nigeria to sign the death warrant, they are claiming they have conscience. What dirty conscience does the governors have? Our politicians, let me tell you this, man. Please hold on. There are many police. They will tell you, I will kill you and nothing will happen. And they will kill you and nothing will happen. If Bolanle has not been a lawyer, if Mohbad has not been a celebrity, these cases may not be as blown up the way it is. Today, all of us are appreciating the judiciary for calling up by sentencing specialists and calling up quickly, judiciously, expeditiously.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Rotimi.
Many people die across Nigeria. Nothing happens with them.
You're absolutely correct. But it's important that I also reiterate that we have absolutely no verification that is because they are being, they're having a conscience. That's the reason why they're not executed. We're only speculating. We're just speculating on that. So we're not sure. We're just reasoning why are these prisons congested. We don't know the reason. We are only talking speculatively here, not saying that for sure that the government or the governors or whoever is in charge is has a conscience or they've given their life to Christ. It's just for conversation purposes. So we don't have that for fact. I have to go on a break, but let me let you jump in quickly.
Okay. Let's go on a break.
Okay, let me wrap up on this. I mean, want to come back or we can wrap up on this? I think really, in a nutshell, Nigerians are generally happy about this sentence. Many have said that we should see it publicly, but we prefer it. Those who are concerned, family, loved ones who may want to witness it, sure, they can come to us and say, yes, we can verify indeed the ASP Drambi was actually executed. Yeah, I think that should be good enough, but I don't think it should be a public execution like what happened in Bar Beach many years ago. All right, that's all we can take on this segment. We'll come back, move on to the next segment. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.